So, the establishment media has arguably been out of touch with the British public for quite some time, not least over the coverage of grooming gangs. Well, one of the biggest figures in that British establishment media is Emily Maitlis, and she sat down to interview MP Rupert Lowe. Now, just take a little listen to her response to Mr Lowe pointing out the cold, hard facts about the grooming gang scandal.
Do you not think, Emily, there's an issue with Pakistani Muslims raping working-class white underage girls? Do you not think there's an issue there?
I think there is an appalling issue with grooming when it hits any community and any age. We only ever hear you talk about Pakistani perpetrators.
Are you telling me there's no issue?
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist and you don't believe that there are white perpetrators of the same crime. Can you deny that?
Oh, what do you all think of Emily Maitlis there? Doing that. Bad, isn't it, that, really, I think. I mean, I think she's so thin-skinned, I thought, there, really. You've got Rupert Lowe coming back with some things that maybe she finds unpalatable, but they are facts, and then, you know, snapping at him and calling him a racist. I found that quite astonishing, really. I personally think that she sums up everything that's wrong with the establishment media and how out of touch they really are. What would you say to that, Christo?
OK,
you like her, don't you? Here we go.
I like her because of the Prince Andrew interview. I think she's really good at that. OK, I don't think she chose her words particularly well, saying because she made it about herself. I think you're probably racist. I think that is completely the wrong way to have put it. I don't think Rupert Lowe actually defended himself particularly well in that interview. She was asking repeatedly, why are you focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs? She is a journalist. It's her job to represent the people out there that will have that opinion that Rupert Lowe and others disproportionately focus on Pakistani grooming gangs. So she's right to ask this question.
By the way, can I just say the answer to that, and for anyone who ever gets asked this again, the answer to that is that per capita, per head of population, there is a higher proportion.
Rupert Lowe
that is why it's a big issue.
Failed repeatedly to give that absolutely credible and simple answer. Where she was wrong was she said, well, I think you're probably racist. What she should have said was, what would you say to those people who think you're doing it because you're racist? Because there are people out there that think that. It's her job as a journalist to ask that. I think that's a good thing to ask.
I just have so much anger for people like Emily Maitlis, seriously, who have had years with a platform as big as hers, with a prime BBC Newsnight show there, where they could have really gone after the Pakistani rape gang issue, and they just barely ever touched it, if at all. That really winds me up. And you know why, Barry, in my view, is because it affects working-class white girls, and she doesn't give a toss about it.
None of that isn't true.
I think it's really unfair to say that Emily Maitlis doesn't give a toss about working-class white girls.
How has she ever hung out with him? Very much doubt it.
Surely the point is this. You are correct statistically, per capita, per head of population, the people who have committed offences of grooming gangs are more, but it's 3% of all the grooming gang activity. 3%, right? So 850 people a month are being arrested in this country for offences against children, child sexual offences, grooming gangs. 850 a month. This is not specific to one sector of the population.
But one sector wasn't being investigated and prosecuted for it. That's the story. That's the issue.
Also, immigration from that part of the world into Britain is increasing.
Found out,
that's why maybe we should stop that.
What she found out and stated in the report was that the person who put an end to that was Sir Keir Starmer when he was head of the DPP.
OK.
So, historically, you're correct. But in 2013, 2014, he actually put an end to that backing off because they didn't want to cause offence to a particular community.
But we are still getting more information about grooming gangs, of course.
And we need a lot more.
Just Pakistani men committing atrocities against children, but they have a specific pattern it is working class white girls. Some of the evidence we read is a real torture. We need a national inquiry.
You know what? Emily Maitlis, in my view, cares more about the Garrick Club not letting in women, right, than she cares about this. That story, they went absolutely mental on that story. Who gives a toss? I've never even heard of the Garrick Club before they started piping up about it. Oh, it's got to let women in. Who's it going to let in? People like Emily Maitlis and Cathy Newman. I'd pay not to be there.
Aren't you more annoyed that Rupert Lowe, and I'm sorry to say it, she absolutely bulldozed him, and he gave such a poor performance in that interview. You just gave far better answers in 10 seconds than he gave, and he's an MP. He should be absolutely prepared for those sorts of questions, and he wasn't. He completely was crushed by it.
We'll see. I mean, look, you're
not going to find me defending grooming gangs or anything like that, but he did a terrible performance.
I get it. Now, just before I go to you, Matthew, sorry about this. I've just had it in mind because we're talking about Emily Maitlis here, aren't we? And, you know, all of this stuff. Barry, you've had a bit of an experience.
I knew you were going to do this.
Shall we have a look? I've not seen this before, so I don't know what it is. Go on, let's play it.
Okay. She has failed over 2.5 years.
We
have put full alternative that the EU say is a game changer.
So she actually got in a bit of trouble with that, didn't she? She was. Well, she said in her book she thought she was going to get sacked because she rolled her eyes at you.
But do you know what actually... I'll tell you the real story there. This was during the Brexit debate. They were all out on College Green. It was up on the platforms. And she was really angry with her crew because she was saying, fix the monitor. This was before we went on.
So she's a nightmare to work with.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
She's a massive thing.
I did not say that. But she was really annoyed with her crew and she was saying, can you fix it? And they were saying, no, that's not our job. We can't do that. We're your crew. And so they were working to rule and she was really pent up about it. And when I wouldn't give her the answer that she wanted,
it was nothing to do with you.
My darling, you know it's never me.
If we got in trouble every time we rolled our eyes at you, honestly, none of us would be appearing.
Exactly.
What do you think? Do you think Emily Maitlis represents a certain type of person from a certain, kind of echelon of society that maybe doesn't quite understand your working man and woman?
Yes. I think that's like most of the media. It's like lots of politics and politicians. It's always been that way. I've had my bugbears with it for years. I would also question, though, Rupert Lowe's all of a sudden caring about white working class girls. I've never heard him speak of it before it became a political football. And the thing that winds me up is I grew up in Greater Manchester and I knew girls like this that were written off as troublemakers or attention seekers and whatever else. And I can't help but feel that the working class at times were treated as almost like a museum piece.
Yeah, they were.
Or just a demographic to be courted to at election time. Nobody really tends to care about us when we're working class. It's all a facade. The Conservatives only began to bring it up. I didn't see on any page of their manifesto a national inquiry at the last election. And the same goes for the Labour Party, by the way. But this is an issue that's been ignored for years and people have decided to get involved because it suits their
I think you're right. I'm sure we can all remember as well. It was probably about 10 or 15 years ago when there was that real thing about chavs. Well, that suddenly became a big thing. And, OK, it was the Vicky Pollard aspect to it and some people on Jeremy Kyle and all of that. But actually, what we were witnessing there was the large-scale mickey-taking of a certain class of people. And that was a kind of almost like a humiliation thing. But that was designed, I think, to get at people and to be like, oh, look, there's some person who will be pushing a pram and having a fag at the same time, maybe a can of lager in the back of it. And that seems like a real demonisation of those people. Of course, you can't do that to any other community, can you? You can only do that because it's the white working class. But, coming up next, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. So I was on my soapbox there. I shouldn't really